Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Monday, the 24th day of November, 2025, Monday of the 34th and final week of our liturgical year in ordinary time. It is also 1 month until Christmas Eve. Yes, 1 month until Christmas Eve. So in case you're not ready yet, it is on its way. So we're moving into our last week of the year. There are many saints that we celebrate, many Franciscan saints that we celebrate during this week. So we'll come to them in a bit. But today we honor the memory of Andrew Dung-Lac, the Vietnamese martyr killed in the 1700s under the reign of King Min. It's Min something. I can't remember the last part of it is. But for being a Christian, again, many times within countries as you moved into the modern era, Christianity sort of establishes itself, but doesn't do so without suspicions and things like that. And so because of that, there's a lot of pain and suffering that happens because of this. And so Andrew was one of the ones who suffered this. But this feast also honors all of the Vietnamese martyrs from the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries that gave their lives again for the faith. And so remember the church in Vietnam, remember all of those, again, who struggle in faith today, again, as we move into this last week of our church year, and the example that they can show us about perseverance and endurance and life that can come from believing in times of difficulty and crisis. As we move into this last week, we leave the book of the Maccabees, and now we move into the book of Daniel. Again, Daniel will take us into the end of our church year. And again, why? Well, because Daniel also begins to look at a life to come, and again is a sort of perfect prelude to them moving into Advent, and then to the prophecies that will bring a Messiah who will then usher in those end times, for us to be glorified, with God. And so it begins with King Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babylon, having destroyed the kingdom of Judah, again the last of the two kingdoms, Israel in the north, Judah in the south, the last to remain, and he crushes Jerusalem in the 537, I think that it is, before the Common Era, and he carts off all the jewel and the gold from the temple and everything else like that. But an interesting kind of a thing, and then puts everybody who's of royal lineage into exile, because you have to get rid of the leadership if you're going to take over a country. But he doesn't necessarily destroy all of them. And one of the things that he does, it seems, that he asks for the children to be brought to the court, and then in the court they'll be raised in the language of the Babylonians, the Chaldeans. They'll be raised in the customs, and then they'll be able to serve the king after they mature. We look at Daniel, Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael are three of these young people who are brought into the court, and they're given the king's food to eat, but Daniel doesn't want to defile himself with this food of idols and things like that, and so but he's told, if you don't eat and you don't look well when you come before the king, it's not going to be good for you. And so Daniel comes up with a great idea: give us vegetables and water, and that'll be enough. So this is where in the book of Daniel begins by telling us to eat our vegetables. Remember that, eat your vegetables, because when they do so, they end up being healthier and more dynamic and more enlivened than any of the other courtiers, any of the other children that have been sent to Nebuchadnezzar to become partisans in the royal court. And so Nebuchadnezzar is amazed by this, and again praises Daniel and Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael for doing this, and realizes that because of their healthy diet and whatever it is, that they're a little bit smarter. They're more able to discern things, more able to solve problems and things like that than anybody else. And so they are raised in honor, and they're raised in dignity within the royal court. Will it remain such? Well, that's what we'll see as the book of Daniel continues to unfold. In Luke's gospel today, we have the widow's mite. Again, Jesus is observing all kinds of people putting lavish contributions into the temple treasury, but again, they do so out of their surplus, and this poor widow comes with really all she has, and she gives that to the temple. Couple of things always is that, well, did Jesus go and help the widow afterwards? So you just say that was nice, and the widow goes off to die. But the other thing about it is that, again, this widow recognizing the importance of the temple, or of her faith, or of her identity with God, is so important that she doesn't refuse to give anything, is kind of the model, within this over here. But does it mean that we give so that we end up dying because there's nothing more for us to live on? No, not necessarily. But it is the sense in which, what are we willing to give because we we know this bond of our faith. Are we willing to endure the hardships and trials that can come from believing? Can we endure the differences and the confusion sometimes? Can we endure the doubts that come from believing? Because all of that can lead to deeper faith. All that can lead to deeper understanding of our relationship with God and who we are, because those kinds of situations enable us to look to the more. Again, if I'm going to do this, God, how will you protect me? How will you provide for me? How will you make this good in the end? Julian of Norwich, this famous saying, and all will be well, and all will be well, and all will be well. How do we let that, be something that enlivens our faith and deepens our faith, particularly when we are faced with so much that stands in the way of it, so much that is unhappy and sad and even evil in our lives? How do we continue to move forward, to persevere, not just to endure perhaps, but to thrive, as Andrew Dung-Lac did and the martyrs of Vietnam did? In that way, we give glory to God, and because it allows our own glory to shine forth. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God, and may the Lord give you his peace.